And we are live. Just checking the mic levels. Look pretty moderated there. Thanks for dropping by. Hope everyone has started their new year out good. I wanted to start that off since this is the first live stream I've had of the new year. So I hope everybody is healthy on your side, because it can be a bear whenever you start off the year and you have COVID or flu or something else. Weird Mix Shorts and Eraserheads in the house. Ike, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you happen to be in this fine world. I hope everyone has started their year off well. So I wanted to start off with a Happy New Year 2024, because I am really looking forward to what this year brings Splinterlands and the variety of other games we play. Gathering the Magic, thanks for dropping by. Happy New Year to you as well. Zalid, welcome to the stream. I like to see new names coming in the house on this stream, and everybody can pitch in their 2 cents worth. We're kind of open here. We like to talk about basically games on the Hive blockchain, such as Splinterlands, Golem Overlord, Splinter Forge, things of this nature. So let's go ahead and change this graphic out a little bit. Let's get back to, there's a new proposal that hit Splinterlands today that we can check out as well. So if anybody has anything that they would like to discuss right off the bat, let me know. Daddy Boy, thanks for dropping by. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and Happy New Year. So I've been playing, just kind of right off the bat, I've been playing Immortal Creed this week. Just to give a mention to them, this is a game that I had did an alpha test on last July, in late July, and then they kind of dropped off the radar because they took everything down and wiped the servers and everything, and they were working on it, and then they went live in December 10th, I believe. Vilson, thanks for dropping by. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I got to stop saying that, but welcome to the show. Ike says, "Do you getting involved in decrops?" That's an interesting question. I did a video on that earlier this week. I may buy one of their special NFTs just to support the DEC. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to start playing it on a daily basis. It seems I've visited that game a few times over the years because it is, it's well said. I think most of us have heard about it. It's not necessarily my style game. But with that said, I asked my wife if she wanted to start playing my account if I started it up. So I may buy one of those special olive tree NFTs. I may do that. I mean, it's $25. It supports DEC. I could get into another game. I'm in so many games right now, but we'll see. I like the idea of partnering with other games, that's for sure. Gathering says, enjoyed the Who Owns Land video you did yesterday. Makes me wonder how many actual players we have. If 4K accounts own land, I wouldn't think those are bots. Yeah, I found it extremely interesting. In fact, yesterday, I usually, Splinter Cards is one of those websites I keep open most of the time, mostly just to watch what SPS and DEC is doing and, get an idea of where everything's going. Looks like SPS has taken a little bit of a dump over the last day or so, just right off the bat. But I went in and started looking at basically who was holding the land, and I was pretty amazed because when you think about that, when you look at the numbers, if anybody's interested, you can reference that video I did yesterday, my most previous video. I'm not going to go back into it right now, but I was pretty amazed at the numbers, and I could see when you start looking at the numbers, how there's definitely some outside entities involved in investing in Splinterlands. And to me, that is a good thing, because that means outside entities that are placing value on the actual land in Splinterlands and buying in a large proportion. And when you think about the numbers I was talking about, that's a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. And, I don't necessarily know, this is one of those talking points we're always talking about how many actual people are playing the game versus bots versus people that are just coming in and investing. So, Wilson says, what's up? It's afternoon here, so you are right. Well, it's almost afternoon here. It's 11:30, so, yeah. Yeah, I'm used to... I work in IT. I'm transitioning out of IT right now. I basically work with Salesforce, and I wear many hats. But I guess my main point is I work with people all across the world, and one of the first things I have to do when I'm having a meeting with somebody is check where they're at. They might be in India, they might be in the UK, they might be over in further into Europe. So I like to kind of give the correct greeting, but when you're on a big meeting like this, you never know, so you have to cover all your bases. Let's see. Tales for the Cryptmancer is in the house. Thanks for dropping by. RNG in Immortal Creed is interesting. Never seen 20% triggered so much. You are right, my friend. You are right. I've been playing... the whole takeaway here from me was they asked me to take another look at the game. So I jumped back in, opened my packs, and I told them, okay, I'm going to play for maybe a week and a half before I do another video because I want to get a feel for how the game is going now, because it has a little bit of a different feel than it did during the alpha. But you're right, as far as your point goes, a lot of what you would think would be a small percentage triggers a lot. And, that happens to me. There's another game, TerraCore. That happens to me in TerraCore, too, where people have, like, a 9, 10, 11% dodge rate and just dodge all the time. So that kind of thing. But I agree with you. Wilson says, I hold some D-crops since last year or even longer. I forget to harvest. I would be interested in people who have been playing D-crops for a while, what you have to say about the game. I'm at a spot where I don't mind taking a look at a new game and giving it an honest shake, but I've got so many games going on right now that I'm trying to pick and choose as far as what I, put some decent amount of money into, because I'm going to want to spend some time on that personal time, and I don't have a whole lot of extra personal time every day. So as you know, if you've got a lot of these games going, they all add up. But I'm always looking at something good to play. It's just, my wife and my daughter, I'm not pigeonholing a game, right? But that's more their style game, farm games and things like this. Maybe I've got the wrong take on it. Maybe I need to be straightened up. That's why I'm asking for other people's opinion that have played it. But I like the idea of supporting the teamwork between the two games, so to speak. So I'd probably go in and buy an olive tree, if just to let that olive tree grow and, check in once in a while and harvest the oil or whatever it makes, the olives, and make oil. I mean, if it's just a quick thing, I may buy a few, who knows. $25, that's a drop in the bucket compared to Splinterlands. And if it'll support SPS, all the DEC that's used on these is burnt. So they're not converting that into money for them. They are actually burning it. So this is a good thing. It's actually, like I said in my video, I think it's a marketing expense, right? So isn't Land 1.5 equal to D-crops, both farming games? Possibly you could equate that. I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit different to me, I guess, but maybe you're right. Who knows? I watched and I've looked in the numbers as well in the past. Guten Tag and Prost. International Travel Channel's in the house. Thanks for stopping by. The only game I pay attention to is Splinterlands, and I agree. There's a lot of people like that, and I've tried to be that guy in the past. And it's not just Splinterlands; it's other games. I've known people in the past that have played one game. Like for instance, back in the day, EverQuest. I was into EverQuest, and I had this one guy in my guild that would play EverQuest, and that's all he played. It was like blinders on, right? And he got very good at it, and he was really into it, and he obviously had better equipment because he focused more of his time into it than I did. But I was spread out. I like to play a variety of games. That's just, I think it's personality based, right? It's just what you do. But I agree. It's just a different way of looking at things. Let's see here. Comparing Splinterlands and D-Crops, DIE, ROI, and D-Crops were much better in the recent 2 years. So with that statement, is it falling off? Is it still worth putting money into in your call? That NFT looks good. Yeah, I like the look of the oil. Even if I just play the game and just grabbed a couple of those trees, I mean, it's supporting both games, right? That's what, when you think about it, D-Crops is trying to get a few Splinterlands players over to their side and trying to get a little bit of advertisement, and that's why they're doing it, right? So the D-Crops daily Hive airdrops are awesome. Nice. I might have to look into that. I want to focus more on projects this time around. Want to get some projects like QNT, maybe XDC once I figure it out. Okay. I don't know anything about either of those projects, so I can't really make any comment. International Travel Channel says they'll buy an olive tree. So don't want to play too much around with random games. I play games out of Web3. I mean, pay attention in terms of games investments. I don't think D-Crops will ever get mass player base, to be honest, unless Hive stops being a boomer chain and starts advertising more. Yeah, I agree. Guilty, but I'm on the same wavelength, right? I've talked about it and I've mentioned it in my videos from time to time, and I didn't want it to sound like I was kicking a dead horse or something or other, But any game that wants to do anything needs to attract new players. And how do you attract new players? Advertising. But before you get to that step, they need to improve the new player experience, which I've also talked about ad nauseum. And I just don't want to mention this, keep talking because it sounds like I'm just talking about the same thing, right? But I'm sure that they see, it's just that they're backed into a corner. They have a small team and they can only do so much at a time, right? So goals for Golem Overlord in 2024. That is an interesting question. So we ended, and I'm referring to we as our guild, ended 2023 pretty strong. I feel good about the game because in the last couple weeks he hasn't done a whole lot. Obviously, we've been in the holiday season, and he's taken a little bit of time off or whatever. But immediately before Christmas, he implemented the whole quest system, and he's been making the questing system even better. So I really like that. I think that's added a lot to the game in many different fashions. I mean, it's helped the shard burning, so that's going to help the value of shards looking nice these days. It's put a reason into the game for people to log in on a daily basis, every other day, every day, and put something into the guild or into the game. My goal for next year, my immediate goal is to get our guild up to the 4% claim rate. Okay, so as we can see, we're at bunker level 6, and we need to get level 8 to get that 4% claim rate, and it's a slog. It's a slog to get there, and we're getting there slowly but surely, but that's one of my first goals. And obviously, I've been working on my personal account, just trying to up it incrementally. My next goal would be to keep my prestige going, things of this nature. So I tried Star Atlas on Solana this past week, and I will say Hive is a very good blockchain for gaming. The every transaction SOL fees at Star Atlas are not fun. Yeah, I have not looked at that particular game, but I do agree that I was tempted. What was the other game I was looking at? I was tempted at looking at League of Kingdoms. However, that falls back into the same idea set of different multiple blockchain. I'm trying to get back to my page here. Multiple blockchain transaction fees. And my overall thought is the multiple fees, I can see why they're there. But they make the gaming experience less fun to me, and they make it clunkier. Okay. I do agree that Hive and Wax have been really good blockchains as far as gaming. I think Hive has a little bit more popular games than Wax, although that could be argued. But I like the fact that there's no fees. You know, Wax works a little bit different than Hive, but when you get over, and I see a lot of good games coming out on the Ethereum blockchain, and I got to question why these people, even though they're working on side chains, at this point, there are still those little extra fees. Like when you're doing anything in game, there's going to be a little extra fee here and there, and that all adds up. And I understand why the fees are there, but it makes the game less likely for me to play, because it makes it less fun, because it makes it more expensive. Now, instead of just saying, oh, I want to buy that battle axe, now I got to think about, well, what's the price of that battle axe? What's the price of me going out and getting the tokens I need for that? And what's the price I'm going to pay to transfer those tokens back and forth, So, it's that's why I've stayed away from games, especially on the Ethereum blockchain. Although there are several really cool looking games there, stayed away from them. Same idea. Ike says, top 25 for me. Vilson says, those projects are not games related. They're financial based. Okay, understood. Yeah, that's what I figured, but I don't like to talk about anything that I don't really have an idea about. Would like to see Hive pay some money and get into Coinbase. That's been one of the talking points as well, but we'll see where that goes. The only reason I know about Hive is Splinterlands. I'm trying to think if I did anything on Hive before Splinterlands. I'm not sure. If I did, I'm not remembering it. But I would probably agree with you. I learned, and this is 2.5 years ago, I probably learned about Hive through using Splinterlands. Because, believe it or not, Splinterlands is a lot more user-friendly these days than what it was 2.5 years ago when I started. There was a hardcore delineation when I first started about having to make purchases by, you always could buy credits, right? But to get DEC, or later the emphasis on SPS, you had to go in and purchase a particular cryptocurrency, and then from whatever your cryptocurrency, wherever you bought it, and that involved hooking up with your banks, which here in the States, I don't know outside the States, but sometimes it's incredibly difficult to get your credit card or your bank card to actually register and be able to buy crypto. And then you had to take that crypto and you had to transfer into the actual Hive engine to transfer and buy, sell, trade it for another token such as DEC or SPS, and then transfer that into the game. With that said, they have been working on it, and it has gotten better. But I was discussing this with my wife last night. All the federal regulations, we've got to understand that, and I don't know how it works outside the United States. In fact, I think in Europe and other parts, it's much more. It's controlled much tighter. There's more rules around it, especially in Europe, But it's difficult to get into, and they really need to smooth that process out. It has come along since 2.5 years ago, but it needs to get better. And I think overall, once they work on that new user experience, we can get into the marketing stage, right? Because I don't know, there's been several people that I've got into playing Splinterlands. And you get to the point where you start explaining how to do it to them, and you can see, or if you're doing it remotely, you can kind of feel when they're kind of checking out. They get to a certain point and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. So we need to get rid of that, and we need to smooth that out. And then once that happens, get on to some kind of marketing campaign that makes sense and start drawing people in. So try to catch up with chat here. What tier of daily quests are you up to at Prestige 15? Well, let's check. I am on the Eternal Cycle 7 of 8. And, yeah. They've been rolling through pretty smoothly, and I like the fact, it's forcing us to burn Shard, which is propping up the value of Shard, right? But he's also been given a lot of good gifts for these prizes. So look at my inventory. We'll take a look at all this. The majority of this I've gotten through quests. I have not bought, I did buy some crates initially, but the majority of this stuff has gotten through quests. And just let alone, I was thinking about doing a video about crate openings, because look at this. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have 5 of each of these crates, 10 crates ready to open. But all those are from quests. So okay. Tales from the Cryptomancer, I agree that Hive is good. Yeah, I think you don't really know how good we've had it using Hive until you switch over and start trying to play another game that's on another blockchain. I think that's it. Because really, yeah, is there a problem with Hive? Hive's not perfect, because we hit certain periods where there's a lot of traffic on the blockchain, especially lately, like when something big, like Land 1.5 goes live, something like that. The newest expansion, Rebellion, goes live. The blockchain is flooded with requests, and it slows down. They pop up the error. Sometimes things take a while. Yeah, that happens. But we got to understand, other blockchains, that's a commonality, okay? Other blockchains where you have to pay gas fees and such for each different transaction, and then it may take 10, 20 minutes for it to happen. So if you were trying to buy a card or something like that, basically I think that we're used to having it good with the Hive blockchain, and I hope that they enforce their infrastructure, and I hope the Hive blockchain infrastructure is replicated with failovers. That's a little bit of my IT side, because one thing we don't want to see it go down due to, and I'm just reaching out there, due to some type of malicious attack or something like that. We don't want to see that. Obviously, any large business, any service like this should have a failover, and it should be replicated. So, getting off the topic there. Every player in Decrops gets Hive airdrops depending on the assets they hold in game, similar to the Splinterlands SPS airdrops in the first year. Now that would entice me. I like airdrops. I like drops where I can just put some money in and they just start rolling in, right? I don't really mind, having to check in once in a while to retrieve them at certain intervals, but I'm at a point where I've got so many things I need to do on a daily basis to check in with this and that and this and that. I'm trying not to add, but I do like airdrops. And I do like the fact, and I've mentioned this a lot of times, I do like the fact that all these games existing on the Hive blockchain, you can play several different games, and if you need something over here, you can buy, sell, trade, swap it over, and buy. Hey, I want a few packs on this game, Immortal Creed, so I sold a few things over here. I transferred a few shards out of Golem Overlord, or I transferred some forge out of Splinter Forge, bought a few packs over here. In fact, I'm going to do another pack opening on Immortal Creed, not a whole lot later on, but I do want to open some packs because they don't have the store open yet. So basically the only way you can get cards is either opening packs or direct peer-to-peer trading, which is kind of, you know how I feel about that. I have no problem trading with like one of you folks on this chat because we're kind of familiar with each other, but some random guy that I don't know about, it's just sketchy at best. So. But the marketing is bad. SOL is bad in many aspects, but people still flock to it because D-apps are built on it. Okay. Wilson says, Bronze Dragon, we got in around the same time, I believe. September 2021. Yeah, I believe it was, I think I was in the summer of 2021, but similar time frame. When I got into Splinterlands was right at the end of... let's go to packs here. Right at the end of Untamed. Okay. In fact, I was in at the time where I started playing and I bought one Untamed pack from the store, and they had like 10 to 20,000 left. I'm like, oh, they got plenty. I'll buy a few next week and a few each week, But guess what? I bought that one pack. A week later, it had to come to like 15,000. Sold out next day. Was not able to buy another pack off of the store. That kind of happened to me with land too. At the same time point, I'm like, oh, that land looks pretty cool. And I was like, oh, I'll buy another one next week. Or I'll buy a land plot next week. And they sold out. Nothing flat. I was able to get my first land plot for $35 and that was the week after they sold out, and they were going for $20. So that's how I remember that time frame. You get them daily distributed directly to your Hive wallet. And then Nike is asking about the ROI, and we are still talking about the decrops. If I bought it in for a few hundred, is it worth it? Will olive trees be passive? In the summer, you got more than after. Okay. Well, I think that it's two different sides of the game. And like I said, I haven't played decrops, but I think that if you're going to have that airdrop going on. But if you bought a couple, if we're talking about buying some of these olive trees, I think you will have to go in and you will have to harvest the olives. And if I get it right, you use the olives to make oil, and then you can sell that, which people need in the game to cook with. Okay. And as he said, there's only two ways to make oil in the game. One of them is sunflowers, and the other is the olive tree, which would be sunflower oil and olive oil. Makes sense, but I think that wouldn't be passive. I think there would be a little bit more activity to that. There's an article on Peak D called Earn Hive by Holding Decrops Assets by Decrops. That's nice. I'm trying to... So I pinned that message from International Travel Channel to the top. If anybody's interested, you can search for that article if you're interested in making passive airdrops by investing in decrops. Like I said, one way or the other, it is worth looking into. And I did say that I probably would not be against buying two of those olive trees. They seem to be pretty highly limited, and $25 seems to be not an exorbitant price when you consider some of the special things that come out in Splinterlands, and other games. D City does the same thing too, says Alex Toro. I was searching when I started when I did that video on it. I did a search for top Hive blockchain games, and I was trying to find decrops, and it was listed, but higher than it was listed D City, which seemed to be owned by the same company or ran by the same company. So I have no information on that. That seems to be kind of a SimCity type of take on it, but similar to the crops. Okay, so this pop-up, I'm caught up with chat. Go ahead and throw in chat if you want to talk to some. If you have another point you want to talk about something else. But until that, I'm kind of intrigued about what this new proposal is that was added this morning. I will tell you one thing: since Clayboy took over, he's not messing around. I haven't attended any of the town halls from the DAO, but due to time, but he's been putting a lot of work into it. Let's see. Olive tree is active. You have to harvest it regularly, but the tree contributes to your Hive airdrop points. It's also passive rewards in that way. Yeah, it seems kind of similar to how Splinterlands used to work, and the amount of cards and packs you had owned contributed to your airdrop. Very similar, but yeah, that's the way I assume that would work. You would have to log in once in a while and harvest your olives and do something with them. Buy, sell, trade them, turn them into oil, what have you. So this new governance proposal, Gladius Stones for Merits. Let's see here. Wilson says, might sell all the other D crops assets if I see I can get some trees. Oh, so go strong into olive trees. I'm not against it, buying a few. That's another thing you'd have to do on a daily, other day basis, though. Log in and harvest your olives. But, depends upon how much you got going on. Just something else to think about. Community proposal number 13. It seems like there's been more than 13 of these come out. It seems like every other day I log on and there's another proposal. The purpose of this proposal is to allow for more versatile options for purchasing bloodstones and power stones. These stones are equivalent to potions for use with Gladius cases. The ability to purchase these items by burning DEC or DECB was a welcome change, but it was done at the expense of removing the ability to purchase them with merits. Yeah, I don't see anything against this. I really stopped buying them because I didn't see any difference in what I was getting out of opening the packs, and it equated to like an extra $1 per opening packs or whatever. So I really stopped buying them. Let's go to the guild. Oh, I guess it would be in this shop under guild. And this is what we're talking about, bloodstones and power stones. Yeah, my guild has access to bloodstones, and the first while that we had access to them, the first several weeks, I just bought them when I was opening packs, or the Gladius cases rather. But I didn't really see any drop rate difference, and it was a few bucks here and a few bucks there, so I just stopped buying them. Post in the comments if you think that they're worth buying, but yeah, I have nothing against this. Seems like good. The price of bloodstones will be priced at 60 tokens each, and power stones will be priced at 80 tokens as they were previously. The guild lodge discounts will continue to be applied with current rate with no. Yeah, I don't see any reason to vote against that. Let's see how it's doing. Yeah, looks like mostly everybody's voting for it. Okay, let's see here. Bolts 85. Thanks for dropping by. International Travel Channel. That would be less micromanagement. Yeah, it's just like I said, with all these different games, it's you have a certain amount of things you have to remember to do on a daily or other day, or maybe on a weekly basis, and it just all adds up incrementally. Olive trees are seasonal as well in real life, though. We'll see. True. It's barbecue baby back ribs Saturday. Nice. Sounds good. I haven't smoked anything in a while. I need to probably get the smoker out and smoke. It's a little bit chilly here today. It's hovering around freezing, and they are saying there might be some snow here. But I have nothing against pulling the smoker out if there's not like a lot of precipitation going on or something. I do like baby back ribs. I do like a lot of other type of smoked meats as well too. So I like doing a nice long smoke on a brisket or a pork butt, making barbecue sandwich, shredded barbecues. Now you got me thinking about lunch. Let's see here. Vilson says, anyone here on other chains in general? Not looking for financial advice, just curious. Most of the games I play are on Hive, but there's a few games I play on Wax. I have good experience with Wax blockchain. It works a little bit differently than Hive, but not too much different. And there's no real price. You do have to have a certain amount of Wax staked to be able to use the blockchain, and the more you use the blockchain, you have to have more Wax staked. But it's not unbearable. It's just, I think when I first started using the blockchain, I staked like $10 worth of Wax, and it's fine for what I do. So, Wibbles in the house, welcome and Happy New Year. If you didn't see that, gathering the magic. Being in a guild is so key if you play in lower levels. 12 to 18 SPS per brawl has helped my $10 account get 1K SPS. I actually unstaked a bit to buy some cards. Yeah, I've been watching those videos you've been putting out, and I completely agree. The incremental rewards you get for taking part in brawls is great. And I hope they don't take that away, because that's like one of the key, I don't know, there's other things you get from being in a guild, right? But that's one of the key things to me about being in the guild, and especially on the lower end. Yeah, it helps everybody out. Everybody likes a little bit extra SPS, right? But especially when you're on the lower end, bringing in a little bit of active SPS, since the airdrop and stuff like that is gone. And if you've noticed, let's see where it is today. The APR is going up a little bit, but it is sank. It's at 13.18%. I think it's been fluctuating right in that 13% for the last week, but it's been steadily going down. And I'm not a finance expert on this, but I think as the amount of SPS staked goes up, the APR goes down, maybe. But I know it's been much higher in the past. I haven't, kept track of it. But I do know that since we started, since SPS became the factor determining, what you got in game, I've more than tripled what I've staked. And a lot of that, I bought some, but a lot of that is actively just rolling things over and restaking, not taking it out of game. Since Land 1.5 went live, my SPS intake has went up, because I do have several lands that are harvesting or mining SPS. So there is that. Haven't done a whole lot of videos because I feel like everybody's seen that before, unless I come up with something interesting that's different about the land game. I really don't make a video, because I feel like everybody's kind of has got into a routine, right? Like I'll sit down and I'll after dinner, and that'll just be one of those things I do, like 8:30 at night, is harvest my SPS. And like I said, I did a video last week before the beginning of the year about the final changes. I did put a decent amount of money, like $130, into my final staking of my land. So I'm at a place where I feel good. And it's just kind of routine now, unless there's something interesting about what I do on a daily basis. But don't mistake that. I am still taking part in the land game. I did the video yesterday on that because I found it very interesting about some of the folks owning a lot of land plots. So just have to get some time to make a shopping list of cards I want for Wild Bronze. Yeah, I think that's just something that a lot of people overlook, is the fact that, and I'm not casting aspersions and I'm not throwing rocks into glass houses, right? But every different league, you have to look at how you play it much differently. And most of, or a lot of YouTubers who put out videos are up here, right here, and they're putting out videos because they're playing in diamond or above, right? The cards that they, and the reason why I went at it from a different aspect than them is because the cards that they're using are going to be much different than what you may pick for your bronze account. In most cases, there are some cards that kind of work on the scale really well, right? But there's going to be some cards that work very well in bronze, like Quora, and incrementally as they go up, they work less well because there's more ways to combat that, right? That's just off the top of my head. But it's a good thought process, and it's good to state when you're talking about cards and what you're buying for, to state what league you're playing in. Because what somebody is playing in diamond and saying, oh, use these combinations, is not really what I need to know if I'm playing in bronze or silver. What I need to know is, are those cards going to work in bronze or silver, right? So good thought process, though, and good idea for keeping that series of videos going. Let's see here. What's going on, Bronze Dragon? Love me some barbecue brisket. My financial journey's in the house. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, I love it. I've got a nice pellet smoker my wife and daughter bought for me for Father's Day a few years ago, and I love it. I used to barbecue and smoke. This is getting way off topic, but I used to barbecue and smoke on a Weber grill, and this has upped my game 150%. So if you like smoked meats, get yourself a pellet smoker. Love them. Apple or cherry wood? I use a mixture. I'm kind of partial to a mixture of cherry and mesquite myself. I love mesquite. It doesn't take much funds to buy cards for bronze. Lots of cheap beta, untamed, and rewards cards. And this is true. On this topic, I also find that playing in bronze brawls is difficult because you have to know the exact. Here's the trap. Okay, the trap in bronze brawls specifically is the fact that you've got a lot of people that have been playing for years but choose to play bronze brawls. Okay, and they know the best combinations of cards and what cards to use most effectively, like Lamacron. Whereas you've got people that just started playing the game, and they got themselves in a guild, and they're like, hey, they told me to join the guild, so I'm going to play some brawls. And they're playing in bronze. They've been playing a month or two, and they don't know what to play, and they've got starter cards, or they've got a few packs opened or something like that, and they're playing against these very high competing people. So, and it can be frustrating. So it's like my experience. I got to tell you the truth. My account usually plays in gold. I've got gold level summoners for the most part, and I don't play a lot, but I do play my guild brawls. Right? I find it easier. I have a better win rate in gold than I do if I played in bronze or silver, and it happens repeatedly. So I just as I've moved up, I just started playing. I just play in gold now, So can't locate that article at International Travel Channel. Well, I'll tell you all what. I will look that up and try to find it and do a short video on it. See if we can talk about this a little bit, since they are doing the. I think it's related. They're teaming up. They're going to do this team up. So I think I could do a video about it and look into it a little bit more, and I'll try to find that article. Gathering says, want to pick more land, especially in 43 and 133. Just no sellers. Yeah, have you noticed that? I've noticed that too. the land in the zones I'm in, and I'm in two different other. I'm in 133, but I'm in 114 as well. The land is dried up. You know, let's look. And what land is there? It's just the price is way up there. You know. So let's look at 133. This one is the region we're in. We're on for sale. So these are the amount of plots that are on sale, and these have been sitting there like that for like ever. The other region I'm in is 114. Same type of idea. You know, it's not bad, 85 for a rare, but you know, you can see the other prices. There's commons going for 200. I don't think Darkest Night has touched these lands for months. They're just sitting there. He's just letting it go. See when they'll sell, I guess. But I guess my main point there is the land market has... I think people at the very beginning were kind of competing to try and sell off and get some money to, you know, stake their other land plots or what have you. But now they're pulling back and they're just starting to stake them out, or they're just going to decided to hold them for future, you know. Let's see here. It's from August 2021, so the numbers are outdated, I think, but the mechanics of the airdrops are explained there, referring to that article that I pinned at the top on Decrops. Silver was okay for me when I moved back to modern. No, I'm in gold, says Wilson. Yeah. You know, when I moved to wild, when they did the bot ban, because I used the Archmage bot, I really thought long and hard about trying to stay in diamond, which I was when when the bot was playing in modern. But I'm like, it's just a lot of money, because obviously you got to start with, you know, taking your summoners from 6 to 8, your rare summoners, and then up leveling your other summoners, and then going in and, you know, up leveling the other cards that you use frequently. And it just, the costs extrapolated out was a lot of money. And at the same time, I was thinking about the money we started learning about the money we're going to have to put into cards for land and such. So I just made the decision to start putting it into land. So the takeaway there is I'm decided to stay in gold in wild. But with that, you can see that over time, as I've accrued SPS, my boost is up to 8.84 in gold 1. So I would like to get that to 10 eventually. And then at that point, I might consider moving back into diamond, letting the bot go into diamond, because I will hit, by, you know, a couple more days, I will hit that maximum level where I could move into diamond if I wanted to. But I feel like my win rate in wild just would fall off. So it's just not even worth it. But my amount of chests at the end of the season has been steadily going up, so that's a good thing. Alex T says it was a decrop wiki, so that's a good thing. I might grab that URL when I do a video on it and post it in the show notes. I used to play Diamond and even Champ the last year, even with sub-maximal deck. Area 51, come join us. Let's check out what's available in Area 51. I've heard a few people talk about Area 51. Who else was talking about that? Was that... I think one of the other YouTubers was talking about that. Well, you can get some commons in Area 51 for $59. You can get some rares for $129. Looks like these two players are selling their lands there, if you're interested. Let's see here. Floor prices for land has raised to about $40. The days of $27, $28 plots may be gone. True. Who knows what it'll do though? But they have went up. And also my definition of what constitutes a deal has also had to change But yeah, so. Gathering says, I have one plot in 51. Anyone have any luck getting totem fragments? I only have one common so far, trying to claim once a week to see how it goes. Interesting topic, because 2 nights ago, I just got my second rare fragment. Okay. So we've been claiming for a little bit over a month. I do mine every 24 hours, right around every 24 hours. And I've got 2 rare totem fragments. Now, I feel like I'm incredibly lucky, but it's nice, you know. And I was thinking about selling them. I'm like, oh, I'll just let them sit there and get 10 of them and make a rare totem, you know. Maybe I might end up just selling them off and buying a rare totem just to kind of eventually, you know, increase the, you know, what I'm bringing off of a certain land. I would probably at this point I'd probably throw that on my rare magic land that's harvesting research. But yeah, I've got 2. They're worth about $12 and a half right now as far as what they're going on the market. Just looked at it last night. So let's see. Mystic Force is in the house. Welcome. I always like to see new players. I like to see everybody drop by. This show has grown over time, and just tell anybody interested in Magic or other Hive-based games, have them stop by. I thank you. I try to ask this on every video because they say you have to. Please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this kind of content. My show has, or my channel has grown steadily over the last year, so I do appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody stopping by. I try to post links in Discord as well. I did find it interesting that they were cracking down a little bit on security on the Splinterlands Discord today, and they kind of make it a little bit more difficult to post videos in the video streamers, but that's good. Security is good. Keep away the spammers and everything. Archmage's battle logic seems to be broken and quite bad currently. I haven't looked at it a whole lot, to tell you the truth. I have really thought several times. I don't know. I'd have to look at my percentages. But see, it does appear that I'll go in streams. Like I'll lose 3 or 4, then I'll win 3 or 4, and then it'll be 50-50, you know, something like that. But I have been tempted to look at XBot. But, you know, I'm also in the situation where I feel that it's not entirely impossible for people to suggest through a DAO proposal this year to get rid of bots in Wild as well. And then that would have to change the way we look at everything, especially those of us who do use the Archmage or XBot bot. So I don't know. I think that just like everybody's saying, you know, you hear a lot of talk, a lot of chat in Discord about people who are still playing in Modern, and they believe that there are still a lot of bots in Modern. So just because let's just say this, it's kind of like, well, I don't want to draw similarities, but just because you ban bots, if you ban bots, that only means that law-abiding citizens like myself would stop using bots. Those non-law-abiding systems, persons would still use bots. So just because you ban it in both leagues doesn't mean that there won't be bots. It's just us law-abiding guys would follow the law. So let's just stay there. I don't think I will ever get one with 2 plots. Okay. I thought I had a land strategy, but now that I don't have any grain producing plots for 2.0, I need to pick up more land or have to buy a ton of grain, I guess. Yeah. we're going to go into a situation where I'm going to start covering myself looking at Land 2.0, and obviously everybody's going to have a little bit different viewpoint on it because you have a different collection of types of lands. Obviously, like my video yesterday, there's some people that have a very large selection of lands and can go in and do a lot of what they need, but most of us just have a few different plots, and we're going to have to figure out how to make the best use of those plots. And yes, that's part of the game, right? Either you have plots that you maximize out and grow enough grain, or maybe you don't offset the whole cost of all of your lands, but maybe half of it, something like that, and then buy the other half off the market. But in turn, you have something else to sell back to the market, right? Say you have 5 forests and all you do is produce food or wood. You sell the wood, buy some food. You know, that's just part of the game, right? Xbot is the best bot, to be honest, if you're going to do that and less fees. Yeah, I think it might have been you. There's a few other people that have been telling me about that over time. I just haven't made the change. Maybe I should. But I didn't want to get in a situation where I invested in the token for the other bot, and then they turn around and just say, well, we can't use them anyway. So I pulled up to Bithole Tales. You couldn't be found anywhere. Okay. I got an epic totem fragment from Hero. Nice. That is really rare. So congratulations. I think that if I got, and this isn't investment advice, I think if I got an epic totem fragment, at that point I'd have to consider, should I hold it or should I sell it and then use what I get out of the epic totem fragment for something else I could immediately use, you know? So let's go just because of my curiosity is piqued. Let's go over look what an epic totem fragment is going for. $62.50. So I'm not saying you should sell it, but if you sold it for $62, you could get some, pick up another plot of land, pick up some packs, whatever floats your boat. Who knows? Was from the least productive plot. Yeah, it's all RNG, right? Who can tell? Who can tell? I would love a rare totem, but $100 plus is too pricey. Yeah, I agree. And I've been saying that even since they were like $75. That's why I wanted to make sure that I had common totems on all of mine, which I have. And they've actually come down a little bit, because when Land 1.5 released, they were up around like $27, $28. Now they're a little bit under 25, so not bad. But I do have common totems on every one of my land plots, and it does help out. It does help out, that extra 10% on everything. And I wanted to make sure those were in place from the get-go, because a lot of what's of value it extrapolates over time. So yes, I put that, most of those, I think the average price I paid for a common totem was maybe like $17, considering I bought some for 10, 15, all that. But they're in place, and I have confidence that they'll earn their money back. Don't forget to hit the like button. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for reminding me about that. I do appreciate that, and that does help everything, especially when you're watching one of my videos. I don't like to harp on it, but I do try to mention it once, because they tell you that in good video school, you need to mention it, because that's what that YouTube algorithm looks for. Wilson says I need to post more as well and set up for lives. Yeah, the way I'm doing it is very basic. What I would like to do really in this year is get a setup to where I can have like a live show and talk to another person or two instead of just reading off chats. I would like to be able to do that. Like do a dual show with Gathering the Magic, or somebody else wanted to talk about a topic with me, have a dual show with them. And you don't have to bring your face on if you don't want to show your face, but you could have your voice on, Let's see. My financial journey says I've been loving Golem Overlord, been claiming almost 5K parts a day, selling a bunch of Chaos Legion packs. Yeah, I think he's taken Golem Overlord to good place, and he's made a lot of. For one guy making a game, my hat's off to him. I've advanced to Prestige 15, and I'm just clawing my way up. Like I said, I'm looking forward to advancing the guild, and everybody is, it's chugging along slowly but surely. But as we go up in levels, it also incrementally gets. It's like the reputation prestige grind. It just incrementally just gets tougher and tougher and tougher. But it's. I agree. I've been enjoying the game. What? Bots in Modern? How could this be? They were banned, but but that means they can be in Modern. Yeah, I agree. I think that's what we're talking about. Good day. Alistios is in the house. Thanks for dropping by, sir, and Happy New Year. Ike says, gathering, been hoarding my grain. Got nearly 2.5 mil bank now. So what I'm interested in that is what's going to happen, and let's go back over to Splinterlands, but what's going to happen right before 2.0 or the lead up to 2.0. Obviously, this is something they're going to have to work on, and they will start talking about it as they're developing things. But a lot of people are going to have a lot of grain saved up and have this big backlog of grain. And as we know, the change is coming in 2.0. And I just looked down at the time. We've been talking for an hour and we're going solid, right? So, I mean, we could go over a few if everybody's not short on time, have a hard cutoff. But my thought process is there's got to be some way to transition that, because they can't just say, hey, you've got 2 million grain saved up. It's going away. Or you're going to have to think about, okay, well, I'm going to have a land set up, and I'm going to have to put a silo on that land or storage for grain specifically to be able to retain that, something. I feel like there's something along those time frames. And obviously they do have the storage from the game, and I'm trying to remember, there's storage you can buy off of the game. So what you're going to roll into is this situation where you either have to have storage set up, or you're going to pay to store that in-game to the game. So obviously things are in fluctuation. They're still making that part up. But I'm just thinking about that. That's one of the things I've thought about. So Wilson says, I sold my main account bot a few weeks ago back. I run Xbot Lite on 2 other accounts. Good to think about. I know. I've just been lazy, I guess, thinking about switching over to Xbot. Tales from the Cryptmancer says, it is definitely interesting in Modern. I fought MacNap at 27 and MacNap at 17 back-to-back yesterday, as well as some other interesting accounts such as DNONAND 55 and Dandine 001200. Yeah, laws only apply to those people who follow laws, right? So I'm surprised, and obviously this is more complicated than probably a lot of us know about. I know just enough myself to get myself into trouble, but I know enough to say that being able to block bots and pick them out is an art, and it's a science in and of itself, right? People specialize in this, and obviously maybe they don't have the specialty on the team that they need to be able to do this, or maybe they just don't want to devote the time. But I think going forward, if and when the game catches on and we start, the new user experience picks up and we start advertising and we get more people into the game, they're going to have to increasingly look at that as far as actually catching the people that are breaking the rules and actually banning them, or at least, very least, finding a way to block them, So I'm up for a stream. Just let me know when. This time slot works good for me. Yeah, we'll talk. I just need to, you know what? I was looking at that program called StreamYard. I think there are some people that use that. I just haven't gotten into using it. and I need to figure out how to use it. So that's on me, though. If you've noticed, the first couple videos I put out this year, I have changed up things a little bit, trying to make things better, trying to, move things along, make my thumbnails a little bit better, trying to make the editing of my videos a little bit better, maybe a little bit more concise in my videos and not as many 45-minute videos. So thank you for using the correct emphasis while reading my comment. I think the best time to sell land will be when 2.0 drops, when there is hype. Same for the grain. Well, when something drops, something comes out, there's always hype and things go up. You can look at, you look at the token drops and things like that. They always go way up and then down. So yeah, and like with cards, with the new Rebellion, we're still in that intro period where there's just a very small amount available, so the card prices are high. Now, after more comes online, then the prices come down, and then they slowly moderate to where the better cards are still holding their value. The cheaper cards get cheaper, but same kind of idea. Ike says they will give us free storage because it will upset a lot of players to dump it. We had grain in our inventory before. Gathering the Magic says agree. I don't agree that it'll be free. I think that there will be a cost involved for us because everything else has involved a cost for us, multiple levels. So I believe they'll probably provide maybe a short term, period, where it might not cost us, but after that, if you decide to override it, who knows. But I don't think it's going to be free. That's just in the back of my mind. Alicio says, I'm needing 105k grain per day to run my current 20 plots, but once they put in place the types, I'll become unable to produce grain on any of my lands. Meaning I'll have to buy 105k grain per day and hope I can produce good enough other stuff that will subsidize this new expense. Not a big fan of this. Well, that's what this type of game is. Think about it. Other games we've played, or other games I've played, that's what the land game is about. I can produce wood over here, sell that wood, and buy grain. So just pointing that out. I think that this whole 1.5 in between period has, and making maybe it wasn't such a good idea to require such a massive change between 1.5 and 2.0. I don't know. I'm just reporting what they're putting out there, and we'll just have to try and back to his Gathering's point earlier, change things as we move towards 2.0 and try to make the transition a little bit easier, depending upon what your viewpoint is and how you want to play the game, because everybody looks at it a little bit different. Vilson says, Alistios, why do you have them all set on SPS? Alex T says, I mean, some people's everyday job is creating bots. You could never beat someone like that. This is true. And I got to be honest, I am really interested in that type of programming. I don't know enough to actually do it, but it amazes me, and I think it's really cool because I'm always been on the borderline. I'm kind of support for a bunch of developers, so I think that a lot of this developing and everything is really ultimately very cool. I don't know enough to do it, but I think some people just do it if it's a challenge and can be done. And then other people are always looking for a way to defeat the system. Even when we're playing games that are not Web3, there's always people looking for a way to cheat the system. And I'm not saying using bots is a cheat, because when I first came into the game, everybody was for bots. And that's the whole reason I started using Archmage, because I'm like, well, I might as well use it, So anyway, besides the point. From what I understand, once the new version goes live, my type of land won't be able to produce grain anymore, since there's only 4 types that can do that. Also, still don't understand what will happen to SPS producing plots once 2.0 drops. Well, if Matt has his way, there will be no SPS producing plots. SPS production will go away. Okay? He said that repeatedly. He thinks SPS mining should go away. And if you look at the land types, there's no land types that harvest SPS. Okay? So I will say this, since I want to go ahead and wrap up this. I love talking about, discussing all this stuff. We need to wrap it up a little bit. But in the future, early on this year, as we go through the year, I will be doing a series of videos, mainly looking at the 2.0, the different types of buildings and what each type of land produces, mainly from my perspective, but I'll do it in a manner that anybody who has different other lands can look at it the same way. But obviously what we want to do is look at our land and see how we're going to use it depending upon how we see playing the game, right? So we can just move on from there and try to make the best plan. And if you need to make changes, buy a couple more plots that are plains or hills or lakes or rivers to be able to grow food, and that's what you want to do, maybe you want to do that. But if you're a guy that just wants to, say, harvest ore, make metal bars, sell metal bars, and just continually buy grain off the market, that's completely fine too. I will say that I still think that the whole study or secretive Praetoria research is going to be ultimately a lot harder and a lot more expensive once 2.0 goes live, if you're interested in that, because it's all gated through castles and keeps, through those one crystals, so. Yeah, I think a lot of us are 100% self-sufficient, but that will not be the case in 2.0, and that's what I'm going to look at moving towards 2.0 and try to help myself as well as help other people get prepared for that. Correct, Vilson. Forests will not produce grain. I think at this point it's lakes, rivers, off the top of my head, hills, and plains. I believe those are the grain-producing lands. As for the idea to remove the possibility to get SPS from land, sounds like a mistake. Well, his point was if you remove that amount of SPS being put into the system, then that's just going to prop up the price of SPS further. So Wilson says, yeah, I agree with Matt, but I mean, would we need to build, again, other buildings? Well, keep in mind that what we have right now is not technically considered buildings, okay? So yes, we will need to build buildings, and that is partially what the whole building in the box thing goes, one of the values of the building in the box, So you can use that to bypass the 10,000 DEC or whatever DEC cost it will be to build the buildings, right? And then you would use time crystals and workers to build your buildings. So the more I look at land, the more I see a huge money pit with very few possibilities to earn until there is at least the 50 new liquidity pools up and running. Well, I will agree with you. It is a money pit, and I have done a number of videos going over the ultimately several levels of prices. And when 2.0 goes live, there's going to be several other levels of taxes and costs, like salt and things of this nature. SPS needs to be harder to get to force people to purchase it to help drive the price up. SPS burning has been going well. Yeah, I think that's overall that's the goal. But also, they specifically sold one type of land plot specifically to harvest SPS with the 100% bonus. So my idea is when you have that plot of land, yes, it will do something else once Land 2.0 goes live, but will it be worth that extra money you spent? Hopefully you got your money back value from SPS mining up until that point. SPS mining from land is not inflation. That pool of SPS has always been there since day one, and it's part of the way we were supposed to earn SPS. So there is no new SPS because of it. I completely agree. It's just been changed over from a daily drop to just who has staked this out. And we talked about this leading up to the 1.5. So, and it's slowly getting smaller over time too. I think initially it was like a 5 or 6 year time frame. So yes, Elistios is correct. This is going to plan, right? He just wants to change the plan. Alex T says, y'all gotta let Tails make his little SPS through land. Stop trying to take that away from him. Well, I have to agree that I like making some SPS. I'm making a little bit more SPS on a daily basis than I was. However, I've also put a lot of money into staking those plots out to do that. So I still think there will be grain shortage in 2.0, but not for a couple months until people burn through their inventory. Yeah, I agree. There will be a certain portion of time where things will moderate. Listio says, Bronze Dragon, sorry, but I bought 20 plots of land because they were producing SPS. Otherwise, I would have never invested in them. Yeah, so yeah, I talked about that in a video and I got poo-pooed. So, yeah. If I was in the position like you're in a position and specifically if I bought occupied land specifically to harvest SPS and then it was changed away from that, even though I think it was in the white paper, and I'm not certain, it's been a while since I read the white paper, you know, it's arguable. I would probably be upset. So, but just don't like it on land since people that help land have already gotten all the SPS they need, to be honest. I don't know. Like I put in a video yesterday, I've probably put about $2,000 into land and maybe, let's see, I can tell you what I've gotten out of it. So I've got my chart, my handy dandy chart here. I've gotten 760 SPS out of it since it went live. So whatever that extrapolates out to, it's not how much I put into it. So, yeah, I know. I'm not completely against change, you know, and I can agree that that kind of change would be better for the value of SPS, but I don't have to be completely happy with it because I would be losing SPS, right? So, but I guess the hope is you're losing SPS, but the value of the other SPS you have is going up. I guess that's the hope. To me, it's about saying something and changing it halfway. It's not how you do business. I never expected SPS out of land personally. It was just always about the magic cards. I got land at 400. Yeah, I mean, my main point was the fact that they sold a type of land occupied. Well, they made a type of land occupied with exclusively 100% bonus, and people paid a big premium for that type of land to mine SPS. So I hope those people actually get a decent amount back out of their land before 2.0 goes live. But yeah, I was hyped about land, and now I think about selling all my lands a bit more every day. Well, I think all of us have to look at all the information we have and try to make the best decision possible. You know, that's all you can do. What I don't want to do is make an extreme decision and then regret that down the road, you know. So I will say that I'm at a position where I'm happy with what I have in land, and I don't think I'll be putting a whole lot more into land. Maybe I might be moving into rare totems as time goes along and replace my common totems. Who knows? But with that said, we are about 15-20 minutes over time, and I want to say I appreciate everybody stopping by. Once again, it's been a really good conversation. Looking forward to a lot out of Splinterlands and the other games we're playing in 2024, and I hope everybody's starting the year off healthy. Tails from the Cryptmancer gets the final word, and it is, if there is a choice to earn both SPS or land resources in Land 2.0, they both become more valuable and scarce. Seems silly to remove working card DEC sinks already in place. Okay, with that said, thanks everyone, and I hope you have a good week, and I will see you on the flip side.